Hi, good morning. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. Welcome. This is Comeback Yoga, level 2 class. And we use the form of fun salutation to move around the mat. We stretch and breathe and balance, and um, we move for about 50 minutes, and we take a little rest at the end, and then we're done. So if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. Happy to answer. We'll start seated. You can spread out your mat and have a seat. Just a couple minutes to get ready. Of course, you can take your time, get ready however long you want to. And I like to set up my mat so it's against the wall, because I like the wall to support me. You could do that too if you wanted. Early, so you can be breathing deep, stretching a little bit. It might not be early for you, depending on where you are. Welcome. Good morning. Hi, I'm Susan. This is Comeback Yoga Level 2. This class is based on form of sun salutation. We step forward and back. We do planks. Might do boats. We um, balance on one leg. We do various things that might challenge our strength and increase our flexibility. And um, then we take a little rest at the end. The class is 50 minutes long, 50 minutes. If you're not familiar with Comeback Yoga, this is your first time. Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit, and we offer classes mainly. Our mission is to offer classes to uh, people who have served in the military. And so our techniques might be focused on things that reduce anxiety and stress, for example. Um, that might be a difference that you might notice, but lots of classes focus on that. So we don't think we're so different, but if you're wondering, that might be a difference. If you have been to Comeback Yoga classes before, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. And of course, we welcome anybody here on our YouTube channel, anybody who wants to try our practice out. You're welcome. I'm glad you're here. So take a look around your space and see if you've got room. Make sure you've got flat space underneath your feet and space around you if you move your arms or your legs, or if you teeter a little bit when you are balancing, that you have something that you could rest against, use for extra support, or at the very least, you've got enough space that if you do teeter or you tip over, that you won't be knocking into anything that you don't want to be. The other thing you can do to set up a good environment for yourself is make sure that you've placed yourself in a way that you like. So, again, I like to sit against the wall, but maybe you don't. Maybe you'd like to move so you're in the middle of your space. Maybe you'd like to open or close a window. Perhaps you'd like to turn on a fan. These are things that you can do in a tangible way to give yourself more support in your environment. Give yourself time to do that. And then once you do that, you can observe my space. So I'm going to turn left and right. And when I turn left and right, wherever I'm facing is always the top of my mat. You don't have to turn left and right with me. I'm just turning so you can see one side of my body when I'm moving it around. This helps you get a better visual. And the form of this class, again, is if you're just dialing in, form of this class is sun salutation based, which means we use lunges and we step forward and back. We'll do planks and downward facing dogs. And we move almost the whole time, and with little mini periods of pause in between movements. And then we have a period of rest, a little um, lying down part at the very end. You're welcome to do any variations of poses that you know. Um, you can make up a variation if you decide you want your foot down on the floor instead of against your opposite leg when we're doing tree pose. Good for you. You can do that. I really encourage you to take care of yourself and to do um, whatever it is you want to do, to make choices that make sense for you while we practice. So sit however you like and start to notice your breath. Notice that you are breathing. Notice how your breath feels. You can wiggle through your head, your shoulders, move through your spine a little, wiggle through your pelvis a little bit. And hold on to the fronts of your legs and lean back a little and lengthen through your spine. Encourage big, soft, full breaths, inhales and exhales. Maybe you'd like your eyes open, maybe you'd like your eyes closed. That's a choice you always have. Even if I suggest you could close your eyes, you don't have to do that. There's small, simple things that you can do even within the framework of a particular pose that could increase your ease. And opening or closing your eyes is one of those things. The way you place your hands or the angle of your arms, the amount of stretch in a position that you are practicing, the amount of challenge. You can dial it up or you can dial it down. And those are always things that you can do to give yourself more ease. Keep breathing softly, noticing how you're breathing, inhaling and exhaling. This is how we begin. We breathe and we pay attention. We offer ourselves this transition from kind of your regular stuff that you do into your practice. You set up your environment. You placed yourself in this particular way. And now you're paying attention to your breath, turning your thoughts inward, your attention inward, paying attention to how you feel right now. And turn your right palm up and your left palm down in your lap. And take your right arm out and up and over. Do a big side stretch over to the left. And your right arm travels down, touches your left hand, and glides back, right palm up. And switch your hands, right palm down, left palm up. Take your left arm out and up and over, big side stretch. Left hand touches your right hand. Push yourself up. Left hand, palm facing up in your lap. Now both palms facing up in your lap. Inhale to reach out and up and overhead. Connect your palms overhead. Exhale, bring your elbows out to cactus, stretch across your chest. Turn your palms forward. Inhale to reach up and put the backs of your fingers or the backs of your hands together. Exhale, bring your elbows out to cactus. Turn your palms back in towards your head. And interlace your fingers above your head. Then place your hands on the top of your head, the back of your head. Press your head into your hands and support your head with your hands pressing into your head and help lengthen the back of your neck. Notice what you feel when you do that. Observe muscles that are working in your body, perhaps, or noticing how this alignment is working in your body. Release your arms. Bring your arms back down into your lap. Both palms facing up this time. Take a circle with your torso around one direction. Bring your arms back behind you and stretch your chest forward and reach your fingers back. Inhale to lift, palms down in your lap. Take a circle of your torso, other direction if you remember. Then take your arms out in front of you and stretch forward, coming into forward fold. Use your arms, push yourself back up through seated. Put your hands and your knees on the floor. Bring yourself into table. And move through cat and cow, tucking your tailbone under, and lifting your tailbone, moving through your spine, lifting, lowering your stomach, bringing your chest forward, and curling under. Try to move more with your space between your shoulders and your hips. And then tuck your toes under and your hips move back toward your heels. Lift up a little. Keep your right toes tucked under. Untuck your left foot. Stretch your hips back. Inhale to walk forward a little. Bring your knees towards each other a little bit. Glide your right leg back into bird dog. Still press out through your heel. Bring your toes toward your shins. Right knee down. Untuck your toes. Tuck your left toes under. Stretch your hips back toward your heels. Lift up a little. And your left leg stretches back behind you. Keep your toes tucked under. Press back through your heel. Left knee comes down. Untuck both sets of toes. Tops of your feet on the floor. Hips move back toward your heels. Stretch back. Inhale to lift up and walk your hands forward and lean into back bend. You're suspending your chest above the floor. This is upward facing dog. Bring your chest forward. Look forward. Keep a little bit of tone in your belly. And bring your hips back all the way back toward your heels and stretch out. Long arms. Reach your fingers forward. Inhale to lift. Come back into table. Walk your knees towards each other once again. Take your right leg and stretch your right leg across over to the left. So your knee crosses over. Tuck your toes under. Press out through your heel and turn your gaze past your left shoulder. You might look back at your heel. And bring your knee up toward your shoulder. Line it up. So you're coming from across behind up toward your shoulder. And then stretch it back behind you. You can look at your heel both ways. We're bringing knee up toward your shoulder, turn and look, and stretching back, toes behind, turn and look. One more time, knee toward your shoulder, turn and look, and leg behind. Tuck your toes under. Turn and look. Knees back on their own sides. Tuck your toes under. Hips move back toward your heels. Slide forward in an upward facing dog. Strong arms, long spine. Then pull yourself into downward facing dog. Your hands and feet are on your mat. Your hips are angling up towards the wall of the ceiling. Lift your knees a little. Your heels drift down towards the floor. You're stretching through your spine. Reach through the crown of your head down towards your thumbs. Breathe and breathe. Your knees come down and take your other leg. This time it's your left leg. Stretch it long back behind you. Press out through your heel and turn and look toward your heel. Then bend your knee and bring your knee up toward your shoulder. You can turn and look at your knee. Now your left leg moves back and forth behind you. Stretch back and curl in and bring your knee up toward your shoulder. You can do that one more time. Press back, stretch. You can turn and look toward your heel and pull your knee up toward your shoulder. And both knees down. This time walk your hands back toward your knee and find this variation of squat. So your hands could be on the floor, your knees could be on the floor, or if you wanted, you could rock back and let your knees come off the floor, point your tailbone down. You could bring your arms forward and support yourself. Your hips don't like that, knees don't like that. Listen to them. Maybe your knees stay on the floor and you still support yourself with your arms. There's lots of different variations of every pose. You can choose which one you like. Whatever variation of squat you're in, knees come back down towards your mat. Walk your hands forward, pull or just step your left foot forward in between your hands. And lean forward and back, moving your hips forward and back. Some of us might want our hands on the floor. That might be a good variation. Some of us would prefer to have our hands on our knees, up like this. And some of us might have one hand on the floor as we move forward and back. And that's all good. You choose which variation works best for you, which gives you most support and allows you to go into your stretch with a sensation of ease. Moving your hips forward and back, and step your left leg back. Find bird dog. Left leg lies back behind you. Your right arm comes forward and you balance. Right arm forward could be fingers on the floor. That's a variation. And left leg back could be toes on the floor, another variation. One's not better than the other. One might feel better than the other, though, and you can give yourself options. Then bring your elbow and your knee towards each other as you curl under and extend. And again, your arm and your leg don't have to be in the air to do that. You can slide along your mat, extend, and bend. We'll do one more. And extend. And both hands down, both knees down. Walk your knees out a little bit. Let your hips move back toward your heels. Stretch back, rock from side to side. Turn your palms up and curl your fingers in and out, the centers of your palms. And turn your palms down, slide forward in upward facing dog. Pull back into downward facing dog. Pointing your hips up toward the wall and the ceiling meet. To lower your heels, maybe try spreading your toes a little. Maybe adjust the difference between the angle or the distance between your hands and your feet. Slowly let your knees come down and walk your hands back by your knees and find this variation of squat. Remember, you could be in this variation where your knees are off the floor and your hands are down. This time you might try a different variation, elbows on the insides of your knees, hands together, and you can look at your hands. Lengthening your tailbone, lengthening your spine, lengthening through the crown of your head. Breathe and breathe. And placing your hands down, Once more, walking your knees back down to the floor if they're not already there, untucking your toes. Step or assist and pull your right leg forward in between your hands and move forward and back. We're spending time feeling and noticing these movements and observe if this side is different than the other side. Maybe you want both hands down. Some of us might have one hand down. Sometimes I mix it up and do something a little different on each side. Some of us might be tall and moving forward and back like this. And you get to choose. So there's not a right or a wrong, just the way that you've chosen. And you can change your mind, also fine. And once you've moved forward and back a couple times, put your hands back down onto your mat and drag your right leg back into bird dog. Your toes could be down, your foot could be up. Opposite arm comes forward, fingers could be down, arm could be up. And after we've held for a breath or two, we'll curl. Knee to elbow, elbow to knee, and extend. And knee to elbow, elbow to knee, and extend. And 3 times, curl under, and extend. And both hands down, both knees down. Untuck your toes, drag your hips back toward your heels to rock a little bit. Slide forward into upward facing dog, and pull back into downward facing dog. Walk your feet towards each other. Step your left foot forward in between your hands. Your back heel comes down. We'll lift into warrior one. Just your body first. Lift your torso, square your shoulders over your hips, front knees bent over your front ankle. If you kind of pull up your arch a little bit, your knee stays right over your ankle square. Your back leg is long. You can adjust your foot to an angle that seems best for you. And sweep your arms forward now. As you sweep your arms forward, feel what happens in your shoulders as you lift your arms overhead. Notice what happens in your shoulders and find optimal angle for you. It's a combination of stretch and strength. Maybe you feel all the sensations that are happening as you lift your gaze in between your fingers, in between your hands. Moving your hands together in front of your chest, and we'll turn with a tall spine. Turn and look past your left shoulder. Untwist, face forward, hands down to your floor, and step back into plank position. Looks like a push-up. Your hands and your feet are on the floor, and you approach straight, back of your head, backs of your shoulders, back of your tailbone, and the tops of your heels. Your knees come down towards your mat. Lower yourself all the way down onto your stomach. Slide your hands back a little bit by your chest, by your rib cage. Squeeze your glutes, point your toes, lift your rib cage a little. Look down your nose. We're in low cobra. Roll your shoulder blades towards each other. Refine your cobra, lengthen your neck a little, breathe. Lower down, tuck your toes, push yourself onto your knees, hips drag back toward your heels. Inhale to come into table. Walk your hands forward a little bit, lift your knees, and glide yourself into downward facing dog. Stretch yourself out in maybe different ways. You can turn your gaze and look underneath your right shoulder, and turn your gaze and look underneath your left shoulder. Bring your gaze up toward your thumbs, and you can step or walk or hop your feet up towards your hands. Bring your feet up. Hang forward and forward fold. Let your head drop down. Keep your knees bent. Rock weight into your heels. Roll up through your spine. Bring your hands together in front of your chest. Look forward. Shift weight onto your left foot. Pick up your right heel. Turn your right knee out to the side. And we'll find tree pose. You can put your foot on the inside of your lower left leg. Stand tall. Lengthen your spine. Square your hips. Gaze is steady and forward. And both feet down, toes face forward. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, bring your arms out to T, hinge forward. Plant your hands down onto your mat and walk or step or hop back to plank. Knees down, lean forward in the upward facing dog, and pull back into downward facing dog. You can change up your downward facing dog a little bit. Again, you might adjust the space between your hands or the space between your feet and your hands. You can try bending your knees more, lengthening your spine more. You might notice how your breath is working in your body. And shifting weight onto your left foot, step your right foot forward in between your hands. Back heel comes down and lift yourself up. Torso lifts, just your torso first. So your back leg is long, your front knee is bent. You're slightly lifting up your front arch so your knee is square right over your ankle. Start to bring your arms forward and notice what happens in your shoulders. Maybe notice other parts of your body as you're lifting your arms to optimal distance to get stretch, strength, flexibility, breathe and breathe. Plant your feet down, pour weight into your back heel. Lift your back thigh a little, lengthen your sides, and bring your hands together in front of your chest and returning, tall spine, look past your right shoulder. Untwist, face to the top of your mat, put your hands down, and step back to plank. Once you get into plank, give yourself a moment. Press weight into your fingertips. And your knees come down. Your hips move back toward your heels. Stretch out. Bring your hands back by your knees. Lift yourself through seated. Roll your shoulders. Glide up to kneel. Put your hands on the fronts of your thighs. Lift your rib cage and lean back, and you're looking down the tip of your nose and forward. So look down, keep your spine long. Just inclining your rib cage a little bit back and slide your hands down, fronts of your legs. Put your hands down onto your mat, leaning forward in upward facing dog, and then pull back into downward facing dog. Put your right leg back behind you for three-legged dog. Curl your right knee underneath you and step your right foot forward. Back heel comes down. Lift and open into warrior two. So now we're orienting towards the long edge of your mat. Your hips might angle a little bit, kind of catty corner out a little. Bending into your front knee once again, lifting your front arch, pressing back into your back heel and the pinky edge of your back foot. So you're giving yourself a wide base for your warrior two. Try turning your palms up and reaching forward and leaning forward. Notice what happens when you do that. Glide through center and reach back. Left arm comes down, right arm glides up and over, extended side angle. And if you'd like to test your strength, take your left arm, float your left arm forward. Don't change anything in your torso. Stretch and open and breathe. Maybe a little bit more. Left hand by your left ear and stretch your left arm to match your right arm. Keep breathing. Keep lengthening. Pull up and in softly at your belly. Inhale to glide into warrior two. Exhale your arms down. Take your hands down. Press down to the floor. Back heel dials up. And bend and straighten a couple times. Bend and straighten, bend and straighten. Start to walk your fingers forward. Step forward onto your front foot and lift your back leg any amount. Balance, breathe. If you want to test your balance, try taking one hand or both hands away from the floor. And place your fingers back. Step together at the top of your mat. And forward fold. Let your head down. Roll yourself all the way up through standing. Put your hands together in front of your chest. Shift weight onto your right foot. Left heel comes up. Left knee turns out. Let's find tree pose on the other side. So your foot might be on the inside of your standing leg, or your toes might be on the floor. Stand tall, square your hips, square your shoulders, gaze straight ahead, and then lessen the intensity of your gaze a little bit. It's like you're resting your gaze. Steady. It's influenced by your breath. Left knee forward, both feet down. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, bring your arms out to T. Hinge at your hips. Your hips move back. Got a line here. And you rotate. Your torso comes forward. Bring your arms down. Plant your hands down into your mat and step or walk. You do a little hop or a couple little hops back into plank. Hold your plank. Your knees come down. Untuck your toes. Your hips move back toward your heels. Glide forward into upward facing dog and pull back into downward facing dog. Keep refining your posture. Your downward facing dog changes a little bit every single time you practice it. Even if you don't move at all, your body remembers, has muscle memory, and your experience is a little bit different each time. Walk your feet towards each other. Stick your right leg back behind you for three-legged dog. Curl your right knee underneath you. Step it forward in between your hands. And we're gliding into warrior two. Push down into your front leg. Lift your torso. Sweep your arms out to T. Turn your palms up. Pull your front arch up a little bit so you're finding your knee right on top of your ankle. And the knife edge, the pinky edge of your back foot is firm. And so your hips angle a little bit catty corner towards the top edge of your mat. And sweep your arms out to T. Turn your palms up and glide back and forth. A little bit, reach and reach and reach back. Your left arm glides up and over and stretch through the back edge of your back foot up through your fingertips. You'd like to test your strength here. Your right arm floats forward without changing anything in your body. Keep sinking into your legs. Maybe your right arm bends and your right arm matches your left arm as you reach and stretch. And breathe. Inhale to lift. Your arms glide out to T. And exhale. Place your hands down onto your mat. Your fingertips touch, back heel dials up, and bend and straighten a couple times. And walk your back foot forward. Keep your fingers moving forward. Support yourself. Lift your back leg any amount. You want to test your balance here. Take one or both sets of fingers off the floor. Might wobble a little bit. And hands back down. Step together at the top of your mat. Walk your feet out a little bit towards the edges of your mat. Place your hands on the fronts of your shins and lengthen your spine. Come into half lift. Bend your knees and come all the way to stand. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Put your hands together in front of your chest. Step or walk or hop your feet back towards each other. Inhale to reach up. Exhale. Hinge at your hips. Arms come down. Place your hands firmly onto your mat and step or walk. Make your feet into plank. Stretching your legs, stretching your body. Lifting your head so it's in line with the rest of your spine. Breathe here in your plank. And then one knee comes down and stretch your other leg back behind you. Bring your floating legs knee up toward your shoulder. Stretch it back. that kind of familiar, that thing we did before, stretching across. Knee up toward your shoulder. Stretch back into bird dog. Hips back toward your heels. You can bring your hands back toward your knees. Knees might stay down. Your hips might move back. Your knees might be up. Elbows might be on the insides of your knees, hands pressing together. Stretch yourself forward. Glide into upward facing dog and pull into downward facing dog. Refining your downward facing dog. Notice something different each time you practice this pose. Encourage length in your spine, softness in your shoulders, strength in your limbs, and fullness in your breath. Your knees come down. Take your other leg and bring your knee up toward your shoulder and back, cross. You might float this time instead of putting your foot down. Pull your knee up toward your shoulder. Glide your leg back behind you, crossing, cross behind. And both knees down. Walking your hands back toward your knees. One last. Bringing yourself into squat, any variation. Hands down, elbows bent, looking forward. And we'll all stand in forward fold at the back of your mat. So make your way into forward fold and walk your feet back a little bit. Walk your feet out towards the edges of your mat. Bend your knees or roll yourself up through standing. Reach your arms overhead. Exhale, bring your arms out to T. Press your palms. Turn your fingers down, scoop from underneath you. Backs of your hands come together, your palms come together. Look straight ahead and look at the space of your mat, the rectangle of your mat. Shift weight onto your left foot. Bring your right leg into tree pose. You can reach down and hold on to your foot and assist your foot a little higher onto your leg if you wish. And then let your right leg wrap in front of your left leg. Sit down into eagle legs. You can take your backs of your hands together out in front of you. You could also step your foot down, extra support. Breathe and look past tops of your fingers. Inhale to unwrap your arms, stretch overhead, and extend your right leg in front of you. Press out through your heel. Step forward with your right foot and gather your left leg forward and glide right into tree pose, hands together in front of your chest. You could reach down with your opposite hand, with your same hand, and assist your foot a little higher onto your leg. Pull in towards center. Stand tall, breathe. And then cross, floating leg over. Put the backs of your hands together. Sit down into eagle. Uncross, push your hands forward. Your floating leg presses forward. Toes toward your shins, stand a little taller. And step together at the top of your mat. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, bring your arms out to T, press your palm. Turn your fingers down, scoop from underneath you. Backs of your hands come together, palms come together. Shifting weight onto your right foot, step your left foot back, and we'll hinge in half splits. Hinge. That means your tailbone and the crown of your head are all pointing the same direction, one long line. Rock back a little bit into your back foot, lean back, and with one smooth motion, lift your floating leg, your right leg, out in front of you, and then glide it back behind you, and we'll tilt forward into Warrior 3. You can tilt forward a little or a lot. If you want, one hand could come down onto your mat to give you more support, or you could keep your elbows at your sides with your hands in front of you. Pointing your floating toes down. Bend into your standing leg. Your floating leg rocks back and hinge in half splits. Hinging, moving your hips back. Chest comes forward towards your extended leg. Start to lift, one smooth motion. Lift your left leg out in front of you and hold it there for a little bit and then glide back. Left leg stretches back and hinge into warrior three. So for a little extra support, I have my elbow on the wall here. That's why I like to sit up against the wall. Gives me a little extra support. I don't have to use it, but it's there if I want to. Rocking back, floating leg comes down towards the back of your mat. Lift and step together, back of your mat. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, part your arms, hinge forward, swan dive forward. Plant your hands down towards your mat. Inhale to half lift. Slide your hands up towards your legs. Your torso approaches parallel to the floor. And exhale to full fold. Walk your hands forward onto your mat. Find foot stretching pose. Hips sitting onto your heels, hands together in front of your chest. Bring yourself forward onto your mat. Kind of catch yourself a little bit. Lower yourself all the way down. Inhale to lift into low cobra. Exhale, release down. Tuck your toes. Push your hips back toward your heels. Stretching. Bring your hands by your knees. Lift yourself into foot stretching pose. Hands together in front of your chest. Hands down. Straighten yourself into forward fold. And again, knees down. Sit up in foot stretching pose. Bring yourself all the way forward onto your stomach. This time, bend your knees, reach your hands, perhaps just one at a time, holding on to your ankles. You could do both at the same time, if you wish, lifting your rib cage, stretching out through the front side of your body, releasing your grip, pressing your hands, pushing yourself up, hips move back toward your heels, hands by your knees to lift yourself. Bring your hands together in front of your chest, foot stretching pose. Hands down to the floor, straighten your legs into forward fold at the back of your mat. Roll your head around a little bit. Rock weight into your heels, bend your knees, roll yourself up to stand. Bring your hands together in front of your chest, and you're looking at the space of your mat out in front of you. Noticing the heart rate, your heart rate and your respiration rate. And bring your gaze to something steady. Shift weight onto your left foot. Step your right foot forward and split your arms into dancer pose. Your right arm is up, your left arm is back. There's an option here of picking up your back heel and holding on. And you can do that. See, I have this option, bringing my elbow to the wall or not. Now soften your overhead hand, maybe to rotate your palm so it faces toward your face. And curl in. Step your back leg forward and readjust yourself. Take your right hand across over toward your left leg, left hand to your left hip, and hinge forward any amount. Your right hand can slide down on the outside of your right leg, your left leg. Slide your right hand all the way back up. Put your hands together in front of your chest, and we're rocking forward. And split your arms. I'm in a dancer pose on the other side. Your back toes can stay down, or your heel could come up. You could hold on. With your right hand, lift your rib cage, and now soften your upper hand. Turn your palm in to face toward your face. Release down, let go. Right foot comes forward, left foot rocks back a little. Left hand comes across over toward your right leg, right hand on your hip. Slide your left hand down any amount, and you're using your arms to support you as you tilt into revolved triangle. Sliding your left hand back up your right leg. Hands come together in front of your chest and step together at the top of your mat. Inhale to reach up, upward salute. Exhale, arms down, hinge forward. Put your hands on your mat and step or walk or hop back into your plank. Refine your plank just like you've been refining your downward facing dog. And bring your knees to the floor. Your hips drag back toward your heels. Keep your toes untucked, flat, tops of your feet on the floor. Rock from side to side. Lift up and bring your right knee forward by your right wrist. Your left leg goes long back behind you. And we'll come into pigeon. Pigeon can be done in lots of different ways. You could be facing down like this with your legs underneath you, or maybe you don't like that. You could be facing up towards the ceiling. Bring your leg towards you like this. The key is this rotation. So if you're laying on your back, your right foot comes over toward your left shoulder in that direction. Encourages the stretch of your hip. If you're laying on your belly, you're forward, and you're adjusting yourself to your own personal level of ease. You could rock a little bit side to side and breathe here. Rolling over onto your right hip. If you're laying on your back, you're rolling up gradually, coming up through seated. Cross your legs underneath you, however you've configured yourself. We'll bring ourselves in a table. Tuck your tailbone under and lift your tailbone and move through your spine. Once more, we'll bring right knee up toward shoulder, elbow, and drag it back behind you. Tuck your toes under, stretch, and then look toward your heel past your left shoulder. And then both knees down, hips drag back toward your heels. Lift up, and now your left knee is in the pigeon. And your left leg might be forward, right leg behind, with your torso leaning forward, or you might be on your back, encouraging your left foot to come a little closer toward your right shoulder. There's not an end goal here of a point where you're done, but there's a point of stretch. It's a range. You're paying attention and listening and breathing and using your breath as a guide and listening to messages from your body and observing those. And can you give yourself even just a little bit more ease in whichever position, whichever pigeon you chose? Actually, bringing yourself back through table. And one last time, now it's your left knee coming up toward your shoulder and coming back behind you, tucking your toes under, pressing back, turn and look toward your heel. Bringing your legs back underneath you. Fit. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Roll through your feet, your ankles. Scooch up towards middle of your mat. Rock back and hold onto your legs in boat pose. And then turn it to any boat pose that you want. Maybe you hold on, maybe you don't. Maybe your arms are overhead. Maybe you cross your ankles. Lots of different ways you can practice boat pose. I'm just showing you some options. And place your feet back onto your mat and roll yourself down onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest and draw little circles. Your right leg goes long. Left knee comes across your body. Roll over and rock back. Left leg goes long. Right knee comes in and goes across your body. Roll back. Straighten your legs. Straighten your arms. Arrange yourself in your favorite resting position. I like this toes flop out from center line, arms long with palms up and the nose up. Maybe you're fine right there, or maybe you'd like to make an adjustment to suit yourself. Just like at the very beginning of class, you're dialing into your breath. Offering yourself this opportunity for rest, for transition. You can stay in resting position for as long as you like, as long as you have time for it. If you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can roll through your wrists, your ankles. You can stretch through your hips and your shoulders. Wiggle through your spine a little, move through your face. If you're lying down, you can roll over onto one side, pause there for a moment. And then bring yourself up through seated. Take your time. Putting your hands on the tops of your knees, arranging your body in upright position. Notice how you feel. Notice if there's anything that you discovered while you were balancing or stretching or moving that you want to examine, keep with you, or bring to your next class. And file that away for future reference. Put your hands together in front of your chest, thumbs pointing toward your sternum, fingers pointing up, elbows tucked in at your sides. Acknowledge the time that you take to commit to your well being, the time that you take to practice, the time that you take to listen and to breathe and to foster all of your best qualities. Take a soft inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Namaste. Thank you so much. Thanks for practicing with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you again soon. If you have any questions, you can contact us, comebackyoga.org. Otherwise, you can type them into the chat whenever you come to class. I'll see you soon. Take care.